spree. Voided talking nonsense hilariously.
Another AI video story. Having fun. I'm using the same base like me, Connor, Jeff and Mike for a lot of videos. I've done these type of videos so far. I've mentioned other people. When I type it in for it to make, there's sometimes it doesn't list them. So I've had Rob, I've had Trent, I've had Miranda, I've had others as well. I've mentioned others that don't necessarily get in because the longer I put, anyway. So I'm going to try to concentrate on different things, have some fun with this. It is the winter when I do this. Once we get back to actually playing paintball, this might go awry. Maybe I'll reenact stories from that day through AI here. So featuring Trent and Gene. And you know what? It's their thing, and I decided it would go the way it does. So you'll know it when you see it. Enjoy. Remember, at the end of the day, it is just a game.
The last terminal. The sun was high over Mount Rigaud, and the air at Warzone Paintball was electric. Trent adjusted his ponytail, his bushy beard twitching with a grin. Beside him, Gene stood tall, his skull mask glinting in the light. "Ready to fuck some shit up?" Trent asked, slapping a fresh magazine into his purple Tip-X pistol. Gene nodded, the silent, lethal specter of the C1D club. This was going to be a legendary day. They pushed into Terminal, a new field filled with rusted shipping containers and sharp corners. Trent moved with surprising grace for a stocky man, his purple pistols held low and ready. The bright, anime-style colors of the forest felt like a high-energy playground. He signaled for a flank, his eyes scanning the ridgeline for their opponents. It was all fun and games, just another weekend of adrenaline. Gene climbed into a weathered, rusted container to gain the high ground. He felt the metal groan beneath his heavy boots, a sound much deeper than it should have been. Suddenly, the floor didn't just bend, it vanished. With a sharp crack of rusted steel, the bottom dropped out. Gene reached out to grab the jagged edge, but there was nothing but thin air as he plummeted into a dark, freezing void. Trent dove into the hole after him, thinking it was a simple drop, but they fell for what felt like an eternity. They slammed onto cold, hard concrete that knocked the wind out of their lungs. The air smelled of ancient rot and stale diesel. They weren't on the mountain anymore. They were in a cavernous, hidden World War II bunker. "Where the hell are we?" Trent hissed, his purple pistol shaking as he checked his gear. A low, wet moan echoed from the shadows. Out of the gloom stepped a figure in a tattered, gray SS uniform, skin sloughing off its face in rotted ribbons. Its eyes were milky white, fixed on Gene. The game was over. This was a waking nightmare. Gene didn't hesitate. He raised his pistols, the skull on his mask, looking right back at the dead man before he opened fire. Trent let out a roar as more spies emerged from the darkness, their movements jerky and unnatural. He squeezed his triggers, and purple paint splattered against a zombie's chest. To his shock, the creature's flesh didn't just stain, it dissolved. The paintballs were like acid to these undead bastards. "Eat shit!" Trent screamed, his purple tracers lighting up the pitch-black corridor as the zombie's chest began to smoke and melt. The bunker roared to life with the rhythmic, deafening thud of an MG-42 machine gun. Gene dived behind a heavy iron crate, bullets shredding the air where his head had been a second before. "Suppressing fire!" he yelled over the mechanical cacophony. He leaned out, dual-wielding his pistols, raining purple hell on the zombie gunners. The concrete floor was slick with black gore and neon purple paint. Then came the Goliath. It was a mutated mass of stitched flesh and iron plates, towering 10 feet tall. It lunged at Trent, its breath a cloud of toxic mustard gas. Trent rolled beneath its massive, rotting arms, emptying his purple pistols into its pulsating, exposed neck. The beast shrieked, a sound like tearing metal, before its entire head dissolved into a cloud of purple mist and rot. They stood amidst the carnage, chest deep in empty shells and black slime. Gene's skull mask was cracked, and Trent's beard was matted with foul-smelling blood. They shared a jagged, breathless laugh, slapping their hands together in a bloody high five. They had survived the impossible. They were the gods of the underground. "Let's find the way out of this shithole," Trent panted, reloading his very last clips. They turned down a long, flickering hallway that seemed to stretch into infinity. The further they walked, the more the concrete walls seemed to bleed into the shadows. They didn't find an exit. They didn't find the sun. The C1D Paintball Club vanished into the cold, concrete throat of Mount Rigaud, their purple paint trailing off into a darkness that never ended, never to be seen again.
Game over.